战略必将遭到全面和彻底的失败。
主义的火炬照亮人类前行之路，不断崛起、不断扩大的国际影响力。
What do you think common prosperity means?
Well, this is a very important campaign, and I think whole China is asked to rally behind this banner of common prosperity. But allow me to put it into historical perspective very quickly. 43 years ago, China probably achieved the highest level of egalitarianism in human history. But that was egalitarianism of poverty. Everyone was equally poor. So we did not like that. And now I think China is faced with a new task, that is to make sure that the riches, the prosperity, the wealth created by more than 4 decades of economic reform can be shared more equally among all populations. By the end of last year, China officially declared that abject poverty as a phenomenon has been eliminated. But how can we make sure that people are not living in a bipolarized world and wealth as it is can be more shared among the people? I think this is the goal of this common prosperity campaign, but it is a very sensitive issue because I personally do not want to see a situation where, for example, the pursuit of common prosperity will hurt innovation, creativity, entrepreneurship, because that's exactly what China still needs for now as well as for many years to come. And we need to walk a very tight walk on this very important but tight rope going forward.
That brings up a very good point. Victor, do you think policymakers in China at the very top are as unified as it seems to be when you look at these headlines? Or do you think there is an internal debate going on whether or not this is, I guess in a lot of ways, net beneficial longer term for the economy?
Well, I personally believe China at the very top is very unified on this particular point. One risk I personally see is the system as it is in China makes it very unique in the sense that once a top decision is made at the very top, it may actually be exacerbated or exaggerated down the line of command when it moves from the top to the bottom. And that is why we need to guard against the danger of overplay of this campaign of common prosperity, because we need to really guard against the risk where business people no longer want to do as hard as what they did, and entrepreneurship and innovation were put under a damper, for example. And eventually the result for China as a whole is less efficiency and less productivity rather than better commonly shared prosperity. So this is the sensitive issue we need to address, and I hope the top leadership as well as the society at large will be fully aware of this very sensitive point, how to address this sensitive point to achieve common prosperity.
We did hear, in fact, I think it was yesterday or 2 days ago, from the vice premier out of some reports out of Xinhua, I believe, that China, and essentially reminding everyone that China is still behind, of course, the reform agenda, opening up and being behind private enterprise. There is a perception out there, especially outside China, Victor, that if you're too big, you might be in trouble. Foreign enterprises, should they be concerned? What would your answers be to those concerns?
Well, I personally am not concerned that much about the point you raised. I'm more concerned about, for example, celebrities in China making a lot of money, but either deliberately or unintentionally forget to report their tax liabilities, for example. And this creates a high level of unfairness among the people. And the authorities also do not want to see this continue. And I think this will be a very important part of this campaign for common prosperity. And this will also go a long mile to avoid too much bipolarization of wealth in China. Now, I still believe private enterprises can play a very important role going forward. They are already very important. They can do much better going forward. However, in terms of lots of other issues, for example, tax situation, and you name it, they need to be better. And also from the government's perspective, I think they really need to level the playground in terms of access to finance, access to land, etc., and participation in competition in the market with state-owned enterprises. So it is not against the private enterprises or very successful individuals, entrepreneurs or innovators or inventors. It is how they can better perform on the one hand, and on the other hand, how the government can make sure that wealth as it is can be better regulated, and everyone will need to pay their fair share in this whole exercise.
Does that come in the form of higher taxes? In your view, in what form do you think that redistribution of wealth then becomes?
Well, first of all, on the individual basis, as I mentioned, in those celebrities, movie stars, internet stars, for example, they are making a lot of money, but they need to do their legally regulated part, that is to pay taxes according to the current regulations in a very, very fair and regulated way. Because otherwise, tax dodging or tax evasion, etc., may not only cause a loss of revenue on the government side, but also create a very huge impression of unfairness among the people. And people do have grievances against such malpractices. On the corporate level, I think we need to have more better and level playground. So every participant in the market, you name it, state-owned enterprises, private enterprises, or foreign invested enterprises, will be treated more or less the same, rather than one category of enterprises enjoy better access to many, many important things in the market, because that's unfair in the nature of the market practice and the competition. And I hope in this way, when everyone is faced with the same access to the market conditions, there will be greater productivity and efficiency. In terms of, let's say, property developers, it's the same thing. State-owned enterprises have better access to finance, better access to land situations, for example, whereas private enterprises may feel a lot of headway in terms of these accesses. And I hope it will be leveled off and everyone will face the same fair competition. And in this way, I think prosperity can be better shared among the people.
In terms of the timing, to what extent do you think the Party Congress plays into this?
This is very important. I think this common prosperity issue will be a very important part on the Party Congress to be convened very soon. And this will remain a very important top priority issue for China in the coming 5 to 10 years at least, because China is now faced with a situation where, for example, many sectors need to be restructured. And on the other hand, AI, 5G, internet connectivity, etc., are moving forward very fast. So you are faced with a situation where several sectors or several strata or classes in the society may feel that they are left behind and they do not enjoy the same level of wealth or prosperity as people in other sectors are enjoying. And this is caused by the structural issues of the Chinese economy, which need to be restructured and reformed, for example, but also from a regional basis, some parts of China are feeling better, whereas others feel more disadvantaged, etc. All these issues need to be discussed at the Party Congress, I believe.